Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the book Rapport to unlock a kind of hidden superpower, one that shapes every single one of our interactions, from a simple chat to a life-or-death situation.
So what is the most powerful communication tool out there? Well, the answer, it's probably not what you're thinking. And to really get it, to really feel its power, we're not going to start with some dry definition. We're going to start with a story. And the stakes couldn't be higher.
All right, I want you to meet Emily. She's only 22, a care worker at a secure hospital. Right now, she's in a tiny, bleach-scented lift with 4 men, and every single one of them has a conviction for violence. You can just imagine the tension in the air.
The lift gets to the floor, the doors slide open, but one of the men, Jerome, he just doesn't move. He's standing there like a statue, completely blocking the only way out. The other men leave, and suddenly, it's just Emily and Jerome.
And here's what you need to know about Jerome. He isn't just a big guy. We're talking 6 feet tall, 15.5 stone. He's a paranoid schizophrenic with a history of incredibly violent, explosive outbursts. In fact, he'd previously murdered an 82-year-old woman with a claw hammer. And this is the man now blocking Emily's only path to safety.
So she's totally cornered. She's at the back, right next to the controls, and she just knows that one wrong move, if she raises her voice, reaches for her radio, or tries to force her way past him, it could trigger something awful. Her life is literally hanging by a thread. So what did she do? She did the exact opposite of what you might expect. She didn't escalate. She stayed calm, she kept her voice quiet but firm, and she held her ground. But most importantly, she focused on maintaining a human connection, on seeing him as a person, not just as an obstacle or a threat.
And what happened? She walked out of that lift completely unharmed. Jerome just moved aside. So the huge question is why? Why did her strategy work when we know that force would have been an absolute disaster? Well, the answer reveals a deep, fundamental truth about human interaction, a truth that experts in the most extreme situations rely on every single day.
Okay, let's jump from that lift to another high-stakes place, an interrogation room. You know what we see in the movies, right? The shouting, the threats. But here's the reality. Research commissioned by President Obama's high-value detainee interrogation group proved that all those harsh techniques, they just don't work. They get you bad information, or more often than not, no information at all.
And this gets to the crucial point. Whether you're trying to get a terrorist to reveal intelligence or convincing a killer to step out of a lift, the key isn't force. It isn't intimidation. It's rapport. It's the simple act of building a connection.
But look, this isn't just for spies and care workers in crazy situations. The breakdown in our ability to connect is having a devastating effect on all of us, creating what a lot of people are calling an epidemic of loneliness.
Get this number in your head, 40%. That's the staggering percentage of young people from 16 to 24 who say they feel lonely often or very often. Think about that. In a world where we're supposed to be more connected than ever, we're actually feeling more emotionally cut off.
And the cost of this isn't just about feelings, it's physical. It's staggering. Loneliness is a silent killer, and it's actually more dangerous to your health than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. On the flip side, the single biggest factor for a long life, it's strong social connection. The quality of our relationships literally impacts the quality and the length of our lives.
Okay, so if connection is that vital, how do we actually do it? How do we build these connections we so clearly need? Well, the good news is rapport isn't some magical gift you're born with. It's a skill, and it's built on a simple but really powerful framework.
So let's be super clear about what rapport is. At its core, it is not about manipulation. It's not about trying to get what you want. It's about a fundamental shift in your focus, away from your own agenda and towards genuinely trying to understand the other person.
These 4 pillars make up a simple acronym, HERE, and they are the absolute foundation of connection. First is H, for honesty. And this isn't about being brutally frank, it's about being genuine and trustworthy. Then comes E, for empathy, which is the hard work of trying to see where the other person is coming from, even if you don't agree. Next, and this is crucial, is A for autonomy. You have to respect their freedom to make their own choices, without pressure or coercion. And finally, R for reflection. This is the proof. It's you actively showing you're listening by summarizing or repeating back what you've heard. This simple act can completely transform a conversation.
So once you have those principles, how do they actually show up in real life? Well, a really useful way to think about it is to imagine 4 animal modes that we can all shift between depending on the situation.
First up, the T-Rex. When you have to handle conflict, you need to be a good T-Rex. This isn't about being aggressive or demeaning. It's about being direct, frank, and clear about your position, just without, the destructive bite.
Then there are times when you need to be a good mouse. Now, this isn't about being weak or avoidant, not at all. It's the strength of humility. It's about being patient, listening, and seeking to understand, which honestly is often the most powerful position you can take.
And what about when it's time to take charge? That's when you become the good lion. A good lion leads with clarity and support. They inspire confidence and set a firm agenda, but they aren't dogmatic or demanding. They lead in a way that makes others want to follow.
And finally, for building cooperation, we have the good monkey. This style builds connection through genuine warmth and concern, creating that essential sense of we're in this together, which is the foundation of all great teamwork.
So we've got the here principles and the 4 animal styles. Just understanding these tools is the first step, but putting them into practice, that's where the real revolution begins, in your work, in your friendships, and in your family.
So at the end of the day, what should you take away from all this? It's that rapport is a skill anyone can develop. The journey starts with unlearning some bad habits, like being the bad T-Rex or the bad mouse, and shifting your focus toward building deeper, more meaningful connections, rather than just collecting contacts.
And that leaves us with a final thought, a question really, from Abraham Lincoln. What if the greatest power doesn't come from defeating our opponents, or shouting the loudest, or forcing our will on others? What if it comes from something quieter, more patient, and ultimately more human, the simple act of understanding them?